As expected in a PC build, our MasterWatt is tucked away under this shroud right here. We have some ventilation there for it. Hey everyone, Digital David here. Today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the coolermaster MasterWatt 750 bronze. I did receive this power supply to review, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this power supply, you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's a look at the retail box and packaging. This is the 750 watt version, but they do have a 550 watt and a 650 watt version available. Box looks great, walks us through some of the key features. You may have noticed from the product photo that this is a semi-modular power supply. Some of the key tech specs and features of this particular unit is as follows. The first one is the loop dynamic fan bearing. That basically means it's always going to lubricate and self-lubricate, which is just going to contribute to the longevity of the fan and increase its lifespan. Next, we have 180-degree SATA connectors, which is nice if you're installing some SSDs. And lastly, we have our 16-gauge PCIe cables that can contribute up to, it looks like we can get 10 amps because they're thicker than your traditional 18-gauge, which would only have 7 amps per their little chart right there. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and look at the contents. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our user guide and manual with our safety information, 5-year warranty information, and our pin connector layout. Next, we have our 4 included screws for the power supply unit. We have a bundle of cables. Check out all the different options that we have here, labeled for us. We have our power supply cable, just your generic power cord. And lastly, we have the power supply itself, with the coolermaster logo and branding on the fan. Here it is from the side with some additional branding, the MasterWatt 750. Here it is from this side with our power connector, our toggle on and off switch, coolermaster's logo and branding. We have additional tech specs on this side for our 750 watt power supply, 80 plus bronze, as you can see with the nice sticker. And let's look at it from the back side. So we have our integrated cable for our motherboard and our CPU, with all the extra cables that we can attach right here to it. And on the cables themselves, you can see 24P marked for us for the motherboard. And then we have our CPU cable right there. And if you want to see the back side as well, just a nice metal panel. Now let's go ahead, let's get this installed. So we have our PC built right here. Everything turned out great. Our power supply is installed. Let's go ahead and look at it up close. As expected in a PC build, our MasterWatt is tucked away under this shroud right here. We have some ventilation there for it. We have our first power cable coming up right here. That's our PCIe cable for our GPU. Moving along the board, you'll notice a lot of other cables connected, but that's not from our power supply. That's going to be our USB, audio fans, front panel, things like that. But moving right along, we have our motherboard power right there, connected. Everything's working great. And then up along the top, you'll see in this corner, we have our CPU power as well. Here's a look at the back side where we have the unit with the coolermaster logo and branding, our power cable connected, we have everything powered on. And now looking at the back side of the build, we have the power cable for the main motherboard connection right here. Other side, you can see the cable sneaking along. That's our CPU power cable going up and then back in. And then under this rat's nest of wires, we have the power supply itself. Everything's working great. Now let's talk about any noticeable fan noise with this MasterWatt power supply unit. We have the PC under full load. I can only hear the exhaust fan out the back. I cannot hear the power supply fan, even though it is spinning. So we have the fan spinning very quiet. That might vary a little bit depending on maybe the design of your case, how thick or thin your shroud is, if you even have a shroud covering your power supply. But in this case, it's not even noticeable under full load, which is always a good thing. Chances are you'll hear something else within your PC build, maybe some of your other fans, your AIO, things like that, before you ever would even hear anything from the power supply unit itself. Now let's talk about longevity with this power supply unit. I expect it to last for years to come. Coolermaster does warranty it for 5 years. If for some reason that makes you too nervous and you want something that's rated even longer, Coolermaster does make other power supplies that would have a 10-year warranty. My argument always is by that time, 5 years, definitely 10 years, chances are you'll be using another computer altogether. You've probably upgraded 1 or 2 generations already within that span. And at that point, it's probably just a good idea to go ahead and get a newer power supply.